Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today I want to talk about why I think everyone seems to hate Iron Banner in Destiny 2, and at the end of the day, I think it's a microcosm for the general problems facing PvP in general in the game. And my main issue is I do feel like everyone takes Destiny PvP far too seriously. I know there was talk about it being an esport back in the day, or it being super competitive at one point and them having tournaments and everything, but I don't think that's ever what was intended for Destiny 2 PvP. At the very least, maybe at some point in Destiny 1's history, but that is so many years ago, it is long since forgotten. And with all of these new abilities, we've had Prismatic, we had Strand, we had Stasis. Since all of this has been introduced, the sandbox has been pretty chaotic for a very long time. And so, because I think everyone takes it far too seriously, they can't just embrace the chaos, which is what I like to do when I'm playing. I very rarely will use the meta stuff. If you go on the list of the most used trials options, you'll see what I'm using in the gameplay footage is not anything that you'll find anywhere on there. I'm using a Monte Carlo with Peregrine Greaves and just having a good time. I also will change up my build and my class almost every day in order to mix it up. Now, I wasn't even using one of the primary subclasses that'll get you the most points by playing the game, and I was still having a good time because it feels like I'm doing something that's against the grain. And that's what I would highly encourage everyone to do. Don't try to fit yourself into the PvP box. Don't feel like you have to use hand cannon shotgun in order to have a good time, but embrace the shenanigans and just have the fun that you want to have. I think that making a build in PvP and having it perform very well is just as, if not more satisfying these days as doing so in PvE. And that's something I know a lot of people don't like. They don't want to play PvP in order to get their PvE weapons. They want their Tenacious Mastery, but I do feel like it is important to cross-pollinate the communities to encourage players to play as many of the different game modes as possible in order to get various rewards to fill those playlists as much as they can. And having more casual players in PvP playlists or having PvP players do raids and dungeons is vital for the health of the game long term, because you want things to chase across every aspect of the game. And so for me personally, I just find the fun that I'm trying to have in Iron Banner, and I don't concern myself with what anyone else thinks I should be running, what anyone else thinks is the best way to play the game. And I think that's how you have to come to grips with what PvP in Destiny is going to be for the foreseeable future. And so if you take that mindset, if you just jump in to have a good time and understand Iron Banner, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose, if you perform well or not. It doesn't matter what your KD is at the end of the day. There are no leaderboards. There's no reason to feel like you have to top frag every single game. You can just play and have a good time. Yes, it'll feel frustrating if you're getting killed and not getting any success in the game mode, and I fully understand that. But if you can find some success, if you find the loadout or the options that work for you, now you can just play and have fun and don't stress too much about it. Because I do feel like in general, not only with Destiny, with PvP games in as a whole, a lot of people just take them so seriously and feel like they have to run the meta. They have to be the best. They have to use the most efficient stuff. And that is simply not the case in a game like this. There are a lot of options. And so I'll see people complain about the pulse rifle meta, for example, but most maps have ways to navigate and get in close and use weapons at middle ranges instead of long range, and not challenging a pulse rifle from across the map or too far away. And I just feel like if you kind of sit back and embrace the playstyle that you want, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable, and you can find the fun in that however you want. I've used to use the shoulder charge with Peregrine Greaves and Wither Horde, and it was very effective at getting a bunch of kills. I've used the Dune Marchers builds where I can just Titan Slam into a bunch of different enemies and get a bunch of punch kills, and I never once have I really felt bad. If something is overly oppressive, I understand wanting it to be nerfed, but I don't even use shotguns or fusion rifles in my gameplay. You can see that I don't have either one of them on me in my Iron Banner experience for the most part. Sometimes I'll use one, sometimes I'll use another, but I feel like everyone gets locked into certain playstyles to a degree that is unhealthy. And so if you can kind of just embrace the chaotic fun that it can be, I think the game mode is very good. I play a lot of Call of Duty as well. I play Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, a lot of different PvP games, and I really understand that there are different strokes for different folks, but trying to find the right fit in a game that's not valuing the same things that you are. For example, if you are a competitive player, maybe you lean towards CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, or something like Valorant if you still want abilities. The movement isn't going to be as good. You can't race around, but anything that has high-speed movement, like a Call of Duty, like a Destiny 2, is going to have some cheese, some shenanigans, some campers, and other things of that nature, and that is something that can never be taken away. It's just part of the game. If you have your favorite options buffed to the gills and then other options not really performing as well, say it's only shotguns and hand cannons in the meta, a lot of people are going to fall off of that really quickly because it can get stale. And that's another thing I think people take for granted, is the fact that when you have a variety of options at your fingertips, the game is going to feel better for the majority. Whereas if you only have a few limited options that are clearly above everything else in the game, it's gonna feel stale, it's gonna get boring, and people are gonna move on a lot quicker. But overall, especially this week in Iron Banner, it is simple control, and I'm very much enjoying myself. I hope you are too. If not, let me know your reasons in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from other people. If you are enjoying yourself, then spread that positivity. I think a lot of people too like to follow suit when it comes to this stuff. So they'll see their friends complaining about Iron Banner, so then they get in the mindset of complaining about Iron Banner, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're complaining so much, so the game must be bad, even though you might be having a good time and just complaining all the while. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in comments down below. My name is JoPa. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all later.